Military commander is calling on Israelis to leave the cities of Haifa and Tel Aviv immediately.
با تمرکز بر اهداف حساس
The Iranian armed forces have inflicted heavy blows on the enemy by targeting sensitive and vital objectives. However, the operations carried out so far have merely been warnings aimed at deterrence. A punitive operation will be launched soon. Therefore, residents of the occupied territories, especially Tel Aviv and Haifa, are strongly warned to leave these areas to preserve their lives and not allow themselves to become victims of Netanyahu's animalistic ambitions.
What specifically is better than a ceasefire? What are you looking for here?
An end. A real end, not a ceasefire. An end.
So something that will be positive.
Or giving up entirely. Is that okay too?
Are you close there? Is that possible? Is that possible in the next 24 hours?
Certainly possible. Complete give up. That's possible, yeah. Right now.
All right, Shalom. It's Brother Quashab coming back at you with another lesson. Now, before I get started, I want to give all praises, glory, infinite honors unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Hakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who taught me this truth and rule well. And peace, blessings, salutations be to the hopefully elect, as well as those that believe in the gospel and may endure to the end, Lord willing. All right, and I just wanted to get into a fairly quick lesson, just current news and events, right? Because I was listening to this video, early this morning, and it sparked me, to do a line back, all right, to do a line back off of this lesson, and as you can see, what Trump's saying, all right, he's not looking for a ceasefire, all right. These people are ready to put an end to Iran, man. All right, Iran, however you want to say it, these people want to put an end to them, right? And what sparked my mind was, these Iranians, right, are still, I don't know if the U.S. Trump seems to forget, who they are backed by, right? In which, hey man, the Lord is lining up the prophecies perfectly, okay? All right, because the least of the flock, all right, as it says in Jeremiah, which we're going to get in a second, is drawing out the big dogs, right? But on the other end, as it said in Ezekiel, the 38th chapter, for God, all right, to be a guard unto them, unto the smaller nations in which, they have all made their alliances, right? With the BRICS, and NATO and EU, all right, and these people are not looking to settle to have a peaceful, all right, a peaceful ceasefire. No, man, this man said he want to put it to an end, all right, all around surrender, right? When these people have told you that they are not in the mind frame or the mind state of surrendering, right? And it's going to come a point in time, all right, when Russia is going to get involved, all right, pursuing a biblical prophecy, all right, let's say the U.S. launches their own strikes, their own attacks on Iran, okay, you're going to bring another major player into the situation, all right, in which, I should have pulled the pitch up, but, the brother put it in the chat, on a bear just staring down the eagle. All right, and the eagle are not seeing them coming, And what happened to Ukraine and Russia's peace talks, man? What happened to that? You see? So it shows you that the mind frame of Putin, all right, the kings of this world, hey, man, the Lord, he has them all doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing, man. All right, which is getting ready for war, okay? Now, I'm going to jump to the end of this video, all right, because the brother brought out some more info,
Israeli News Live joined fully into the war. Bahashem Yahweh.
All right, so, I'm going to let this clip play, but I'm going to get this quick precept, right? It's Joel chapter 3 and verse 9. It says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. All right. Hey, man, the mighty men are being awoken. Okay. You even have China, okay, flying secret planes and shit, you know, into Iran, you know, mystery planes, right? In which, you know, I believe it was military equipment that they actually delivered, right? And China ready to get their hands on America as well, man, because they actually think that they're going to be the next ones to rule. You see? But it says, wake up the mighty men, and the mighty men are being awoken. All right. You have all of the big dogs, okay, all of the countries that are with the most nuclear capabilities are at some kind of mix within the war, right? Russia, Ukraine, okay, U.S., Israel, Iran, all right? And you got the U.S. talking big shit, man, you know? But it says, beat your plowshares into swords, all right, which is the modern day killing instrument, okay, which could be a missile, all right? We like to refer to it as a gun, all right? But it ain't time for peace, all right? It's time for war, all right? It says, as it says in Ecclesiastes, the 3rd chapter, man, you know? But I'm gonna come back to this, and I want to let this video play. All right.
Good transition here to U.S. involvement. Let's go ahead and put this up there on the screen. We have our friend Scott Horton. He is reporting here, does echo some of your own comments. And he says, sources, the U.S. will enter Israel's war with Iran, calling the White House and tell them that you do not want any part of this disastrous war. This is from sources to Scott Horton. Obviously, Scott, a very, very smart guy, and he does, of course, some people in the administration. In a sense, though, it's really only a question of offensive capability or not. We already know, the extent to which the United States has been involved now with defending Israel. We can put the next one, guys, up, C2, please. You could see Trump is obviously leaving that possibility open. He says, quote, it's possible the U.S. could get involved. He means offensively, it's keeping the door there. All sides.
Right, and what's this guy saying, as the quote says, the president made the comments to ABC News, Rachel Scott. He also reiterated that the U.S. is not at this moment involved in a conflict, which is bullshit, man. All right. Anytime that you are moving around your military jets, all right, you have ships. It's a lot of things going on, okay, in the background, all right. And we know that you've been supplying them with their missiles. The same thing you did with Ukraine, all right. Same thing Biden did with Ukraine, man. All right, having you say, these people, they play on words, man. All right, you saying that, we not technically in the war, but you are in the war. All right, anytime that you're making threats, all right, and making statements about what you're ready to do, all right, if people don't agree with you, well, what is that? That's fighting words, man, as we like to say, Well, it's going to come a point in time where it ain't going to be no more talking. It's just going to be fighting. All right. Missiles going to get to flying. Soldiers going to getting to be deployed. All right. Because that's the times that we're in, man. All right. We at the end of this thing, man.
Still kind of point, in that direction.
Yeah, and that was it. All right. But, I got a couple precepts that I want to get. I'll just call for this one in Ecclesiastes. It's a 3rd chapter. All right. Now it says, I'm going to just get straight to the point. It says, I think it's 8. Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 8. It says a time of love and a time of hate, a time of war and a time of peace. All right, and that's what we're in. We're not in a time of peace. We're not in a time of love. All right, we're in a time of hate, and we're in a time of war. All right, that's the times that we're in. Okay, it's tell you in Ephesians to redeem the times. Well, this is the times that we're in. The times of war. All right, pestilences. Okay, end times. That's the times that we're in. All right, evil times. See, but I wanted to get this in Jeremiah. All right. Come on, phone. I bookmarked it already. Just bear with me 1 second. Yep. Jeremiah chapter 49, verse 20. It says, therefore hear counsel therefore hear the counsel of the Lord Yahweh that he had taken against Edom, all right, which is the so-called white man who is ruling the world. All right. It says that he had taken against Edom and his purposes that he had proposed against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. All right. And the least of the flock is Israel, man. All right. Which is one of the smaller nations, okay, that are enjoined into America through their alliance. All right. It says, surely he shall make their habitations desolate with them. So, you know, you side with Israel, America, all right, and both of y'all gonna be destroyed by nuclear missiles, man. All right, both of y'all. Okay. Now we know for sure that America and the land of Israel, which is our homeland, okay, will be destroyed with nuclear missiles, man. All right, because the land is polluted, it's defiled, so it has to be cleansed. Okay. But that was the point. And, you know, I brought this out, and I'm going to tie it in with Ezekiel the 38th chapter because, you know, America is being tied in with Israel, all right, as their, guard, right? You can see America being a guard to Israel, okay? Well, watch when the Lord really spice things up and Russia gets in the mix and be that guard unto them, okay? Because, you know, we can already see Turkey, right, which is, I believe that's Gomer. I believe that's Gomer when it says Gomer and all this bands, the House of Tokemor. I believe that's talking about Turkey. All right. Now, like I just said, you know, as we can see America being that guard unto these nations, right? Mainly Israel at the moment. All right. But it says, I'm gonna just get the point. Well, I'm gonna start at verse 2. It says, son of man, set thy face against God, the land of Magog, all right, which, you know, that's modern day what? Russia, all right? You look at the biblical maps, all right, that lines up perfectly together, man, all right? Now it says, which I went into a lesson on that, you know, a while back, but it says, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal and prophesy against him. Thus said the Lord Yahweh, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, and the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal. So the Lord ain't with you, he just using you, right? And it says, verse 4 is the point. It says, and I will turn thee back and will bring hooks into thy jaws and will bring thee forth all thine army, horses and horsemen, all them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. Excuse me. All right, Salakia, it says all of them handling swords, man, which is the modern day killing instrument. All right, whether it be a rocket launcher, a tank, okay, actual gun, okay, being a drone pilot. All right, all of these things are modern day killing instruments, man. All right, and it says all of them are going to be handling swords. So what that tell you? It's going to be a time of killing, a time of war. All right, a time of hate. You see, it says Persia. Okay, and who are the modern day Persians, man? All right, so-called Iranians. All right, those are the modern day Persians. You see, it says Ethiopia and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet, and you know that's the spirit, man. All right, because this place is getting ready to go. All right, you can sound the alarms. All right. The sirens, okay? And that's gonna be a real an everyday tune. Okay, like you hear those sirens going off in Iran and Israel. All right, that's gonna be a tune here in America. All right, but it says Persia and Ethiopia, which is the modern day Ethiopians. All right, Libya, and with them, Gomer and all his bands in the house of Togomar of the North Quarters and all his bands and many people with thee. And here's the point. It says, verse 7, be thou prepared and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company. All right, your alliance, your whole alliance, Turkey, Africa, all right, Africans, you so-called Africans, man, all right, you so-called Iranians, and you so-called Russians, which you are Edomites too, man, all right. It says, be thou prepared and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto him. All right. So as you can see, America being a guard unto Israel, well, wait till the bear, all right, gets his nose in there, man, because Russia's real quiet right now, right? They've already came out, made a couple statements condemning Israel, showing you what side they're on, right? But just wait until they actually starts to get hands on, all right? And Putin already showed you that he ain't rocking with Trump like that, all right? The Lord got the hooks in his jaws. There ain't no getting cool. All right, this guy Trump talk about when he get in office, you know, oh, Putin's he's a really good friend of mine, and you know, I believe whatever, man. Fuck what you believe, man. All right, think you some guy that you can, you know, make peace. All right, no, man. The Lord got the spirit on that devil too. You know, he ain't making no peace with nobody. All right, and he got his eyes on you. You see. But that was pretty much the point, man. You know, I was going to go back into Joel, but that's cool. You know, it's all good. Call to Wab, you know. So with that, you know, I'm going to give all praises, glory, infinite honors unto Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushua, by Hashem Rekach Wadash. And double honors once again to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings, salutations to the hopefully elect. Until next time, I say shalom.